What about fear?
You do not find good men right. Great watchtower. Have not. They're dead.
Avoid them. Catch me. Just
Time. And a minute. You do not find.
you do not know. What about
And a minute. Have not.
what about you? Things are now in motion.
We do not.
You do not know pain. You do not know you.
I'm gonna.
Catch me. First Tetris.
There's time. And a minute. You do not find.
Just he threw down my enemy.
Have not.
What about you? Things are now in motion.
We do not.
You do not know pain. You do not know you.
I'm gonna.
Just
Time. And a minute. You do not find.
you do not know you. What about
And a minute. Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you mean.
First Tetris.
There's time. And a minute. You do not find.
Just he threw down my enemy.
Lose 500. We do not stop riding.
What about fear?
You do not find good men right. Great watchtower. Have not. They're dead.
Avoid them. What about fear?
You do not find good men right. Great watchtower. Have not. Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you mean. Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you mean.
What about fear?
You do not find good men right. Great watchtower. Have not. They're dead.
Avoid them. What about fear?
You do not find good men right. Great watchtower. Have not. They're dead.
Avoid them. Catch me. Just
Time. And a minute. You do not find.
you do not know you. What about
And a minute. Have not.
what about you? Things are now in motion.
We do not.
You do not know pain. You do not know you.
I'm gonna.
Catch me. First Tetris.
There's time. And a minute. You do not find.
Just he threw down my enemy.
Have not.
What about you? Things are now in motion.
We do not.
You do not know pain. You do not know you.
I'm gonna.
Catch me. Just
Time. And a minute. You do not find.
you do not know you. What about
And a minute. Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you mean.
catch me? First Tetris.
There's time. And a minute. You do not find.
Just he threw down my enemy.
Okay, there we go. Now I'm live. Able to be live anyway. I forgot that my ducks were still out, so I had to go put them away. Because otherwise it'd be 10 o'clock at night and I'd be running through my neighbor's yard with a flashlight trying to find my ducks. They get mischievous, when they're supposed to be in bed, and they're not. Just need to put some stuff away. Our night from yesterday. Gonna do a little bit more Samai tonight. So how's everybody doing? Hope everyone's doing well. So I've got my seals all cleaned up. Again, we're going to be working with 1084, and I've got 2 pieces of 15 and 20. So we just need to go ahead and pre-flux those. And tack weld them up. Get them in the forge. Hey, who's that? I thought that was Jeff. Boy, that blue is really dark today. I don't know why. It's hard for me to read from across the room. Might not be you, it might be me. But I'm pretty sure it used to be brighter than that. I don't know. Every other part of me is getting old. Eyes might as well as... I'll just use a little bit of paste flux on here. Just to say I did. Slide dirt off there. All right. Looking pretty good. I have no idea whether or not the paste flux actually works all that great, if it does exactly what I want it to do or what. But I know that it doesn't screw up my weld, so I figured I'd do a little bit of a little more Sanmai. I haven't decided on the blade, but we're starting out with a relatively small piece here. It's 2 inches wide by 3 inches long, about half an inch thick. So, we'll be able to get a nice, decent blade out of that. But it just goes to show that you don't need a whole lot of steel to get a nice sized knife. And I've been on a kitchen knife kick lately, so why break with routine? So I'm just going to tack it up here with the MIG, just to keep the pieces together. Just keep them together while we're in the forge, between the forge and the hammer, so they don't fall apart. Don't look at the bright lights, kids. There we go. Done and done. So literally, I just tacked the corners together. You'll probably see that if I switch cam views on you. See where I just put those, tack them right on the corners. That's all. And yes, it is a little warm. All right, so without further ado, let's get this in the heat. First, let's get our 2-inch tongs out. There we go. There we go. Boy, what a wonderful evening here. It's like in the upper 50s right now. It's pretty nice. Oh, nice, Jeff. How did it work? Did you get the geometry right on that? It's always the first thing that you notice. I haven't been out fishing yet this year. I've been waiting. I don't know what I've been waiting for, but I've been waiting. I think it's that I haven't felt like going through I have a backpack instead of a tackle box. I've got like 6, 7 different trays in there. And it's really convenient for carrying, you know. I just don't feel like going through it. And then I know that if I go to, you know, that outdoor place that shall not be named, because it's only 10 minutes from the house, you know, that would be $100 dropped right there on stuff that I probably don't need. So I've been putting a delay on fishing for the year so far. I'm glad to hear that it worked good. So you made that from a saw blade, like a bandsaw blade, or circular saw blade? Don't get me wrong, I'm looking at some bandsaw blade right now. I get this bandsaw blade that's like 9.5 or 11 inches wide, 36 feet long. That works really nice. Well, you don't need that right now. But we will want our brush. And I think I need to fill up on borax. Yeah, those things work really well. You know, it doesn't work really well. My hands on this lid. Try an old school trick. This is where I need the 9-year-old girl to come in here and do this for me. Or a 6-year-old. I wonder if my daughters are around. Well, either way, let's get this out. Let's brush it off. Woo. That forge is definitely getting up to step. Just brushing some of the crap off of it. There we go. Oh yeah, the stock removal is a great way to get those geometries, right in your head. Get a lot of guys who are like, oh yeah, but I don't want to learn stock removal. I want to learn forging. Like, you're not going to learn how to swing a hammer the best that you can right out of the gate. That takes years to develop the muscle memory and everything else with it. But you can learn how to take something that you've made and clean it up on that grinder really well. With a little bit of patience. But no, it's always rewarding to make something and use it. So how do I want to set this tonight? Could use a hydraulic press. Then I have to reach over there and plug it all in. Or I can just use the hammer. I think I'll use the hammer. Grab my safety glasses that fell off my chair. We're almost there. Still really hard to see the colors of the forge with these glasses. They're tinted and a little bronze coating on there, so I'm just not used to seeing what color I should be seeing. Little different when I flip them down. Let's get this. Stage it up towards the opening. Looks like we're just about ready. Give it another 10 seconds. Now, go back into the forge. I don't even think I need to reflux. I think we're going to be good. I don't know. We'll put a little bit of faith into the paste flux now. Rely a little bit less on the borax. I'm hoping that it doesn't reset like it has been. I'm sick and tired of seeing 3 separate videos for one stream. So I'm working on it. I'm debating whether or not we need to go with a point-to-point, basically beam the internet down to the shop. But I moved my existing hardware around today. Climbed up in some trees, put some waterproof boxes up there, ran some power lines, fun stuff. But it seems, I did a speed test, and it seems like everything's fine and that the latency issues are taken care of. So I guess I'll see. We're about 20 minutes into the stream, so if I see that counter over there reset, I'll know what's going on. What does borax do to the forge floor? It destroys it. Absolutely destroys it. It is some of the worst stuff for the insulation on the inside of your forge. I know guys that actually put a stainless steel plate in or You can get ceramic inserts as well for your forge. It's looking pretty good and consistent. So there we go. Now I've got our billet welded up. No lines. Yeah, Jeff, look around, see if you can find. Did you build your forge or did you buy it? I guess that's the first question to ask. The main reason I ask is some manufacturers have specific, what they call a welding plate that will go into the forge, and it's basically sized and designed to fit inside your forge. If not, are you familiar with what hard brick is? So hard brick, unlike insulated fire brick, which is the real soft, here I'll grab one. So this is insulated fire brick. It's real light, and it's a solid brick, but yet it's soft enough that, with a little bit of pressure, I can probably break it with my fingers here. I actually cut it with my scroll saw. This is called IFB, or insulated fire brick. They're really great for the inside of your forge. However, when you're welding for the floor of the forge, go to Home Depot or Lowe's and look for what they call hard brick. It's fireplace brick. This time of year, you'll either find it with the concrete, or they may have moved it outside with the home and garden stuff. It all depends. One portion of the year it's inside, one portion of the year it's outside. I never remember which. And I think every Home Depot or Lowe's is different as well. But then you can just put one of those in. They're only about an inch thick. So then you can just put one of those into your forge. And, they're like $3-4 a piece. Get a dozen of them. Then you have them. So I'm anxious to see, since I've redesigned since I've redesigned the hammer, can I actually go in sideways with 2 inches? Oh yeah, that works nicely. Sorry, I forgot to flick up the hammer cam there. Oh, and there goes another hammer. Oh well. Yeah, the heavier fireplace brick is essentially a ceramic brick that will hold up that heat. The reason why you don't line your forge with them is, well, they're not insulated fire brick, which basically means they absorb all that heat, and it takes a long time for them to build up that heat, but then they hold it for a while as well. Really great for a fireplace, not necessarily something that you want for a forge. Okay. Should be back up to temp. I'm just trying to get a little bit of length out of here. One area, I think it's that weld, just from where I tacked it. I don't think it's an issue, but we'll double check. Oh yeah, the coal forge. So with a coal forge, what happens is with the air being forced up from underneath, the bottom pan is actually always colder. It's always colder than than the fire itself. Heat rises. So now it's a little bit different if you have a side blast forge. Which is also why side blast forges often have a water cooling jacket around them. But my coal forge outside, I line with just a little bit of high temperature cement, like every couple of years. I mean, and that's really just as a precaution. The plaster of Paris has always bothered me, mainly because plaster of Paris tends to hold moisture, and so you can get spalting with that. So essentially, when the moisture inside the plaster of Paris gets hot enough, it explodes. Certain types of concrete will do that as well, which is also why you don't use any old concrete for building a forge or anything like that. There are very specific, like Vesuvius, which is a 3,000 degree. That's the brand I use. Well, let's see what we got. Yeah, what I thought might have been an issue is definitely just those little weld beads, which I don't plan on incorporating them into the knife anyway. So we're all good. So now, if you can see, let me. This will be a little bright there, but so back here we're about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. You still see it's not quite the 1/2 inch that we started out with. But that was from using those drawing dies on the other side of the hammer. Such a perfect time of year to forge. It's not cold. I don't have to rely on the wood stove back here. But it's not hot, so I'm not dripping with sweat. So I turned it around in the forge, and now we're just waiting for that to come up to temperature. I'm going to take it back to the drawing dies on the power hammer. Yeah, when you were mentioning plaster of Paris and masonry sand, I have a buddy of mine that made a casting furnace like that. And even though we let it sit for about 2-3 weeks, I think, before actually using it, it still exploded. It wasn't bad, but... actually, we decided that we're going to end up picking that up. That's Matt. He's actually local. And so we decided to it was being very frustrating. And it's not something I would normally do. I also let him choose to do a much more difficult pattern that is oftentimes problematic. If you remember, I probably showed you one or two of the saxes that I've done with a herringbone pattern. Essentially, that's what Matt decided he was going to do, that stacked twist pattern. And so he's coming back Thursday. We're going to go live in here probably around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. I think he said he'll be here about 2:30 or so. So it'd be nice to have someone else here in the shop with me while I work. There we go. Now we're starting to get some length out of that. Keep in mind that this piece was only 3 inches long, and now it's going from one side of the anvil to the other plus an inch of overhang. So we're at 5 inches now. Just by reducing that thickness. And we're still at about 1/4 of an inch. Oh yeah, it always rains whenever I could do something fun. My ducks won't be happy. I generally keep them inside the duck hut on rain days. They turn into a muddy mess. I don't know. Maybe I'll just let them out on Thursday. It's not like I take the ducks into the house, So now I need to decide what size blade I'm actually making. I don't even know what style I'm making. I was thinking about going a little Japanese on this one. I'm going to bring it down just a hair, just square it up really. Snow on Friday. I saw Denver's getting like 18 to 24 inches. You're saying here, Jeff? In little old Pennsylvania, it wouldn't That wouldn't be the first time in my lifetime that I remember it snowing in mid-April, so... Of course. After I get my peppers planted, my herb gardens planted, my cabbages won't mind. My cabbage and my Brussels sprouts, they don't care. But my hot peppers, just flurries. Yeah, but flurries means it can be 48 degrees and flurrying, so... As long as we don't get that snap of frost, that's all that matters. Woo. Okay. Just want to take it down a little thinner on this end that's further away from me right now. Then we'll start figuring out what kind of blade this is. Maybe we'll make a deba bocho pointed carving knife. One of my favorite styles of knives to use in the kitchen. I don't think I've ever done one in San Mai. Normally, it's not a style that I do in San Mai, mainly because it's single bevel, so just one side is bevel. This means that I'll have to grind a little bit more for that bevel instead of forging some of it, most of it all the way down. Well, a deba bocho is close to a cleaver. It's just a little bit smaller. I wish I had a screen programmed into the setup where I could show you what I was talking about. If you look it up online in Google, it's deba bocho. And you'll notice that, they're not extremely large knives, but it's a pointed carving knife. So that means I need to first start by drawing, I guess I'll start drawing the point down, then I'll go back to the tang. And the very tip, or the end of this knife, is essentially going to look like a sheet split pattern. I don't know if these tongs, they work for this? Possibly. Yeah, I guess they'll work. Will they let go? Yeah, they will. Cool. Alright. Well then. I get the hammers that I want. Get them ready. Dog's head hammer, and where was I using my hammer last? Oh, I used it yesterday. I think I also used it over here at the press. My own fault for not putting stuff away where it belongs. I'll just double check here somewhere. Nope. Oh well. Oh, why not? We're doing a Japanese style hammer or style blade. Let's just use the Japanese style hammer for all this. Yeah, it's a really nice. I use it a lot for everything from mincing to chopping. Oh, let me. Yeah, I just happen to really like it in the kitchen. I also use it for, cutting up chicken, cutting my steak, I mean, you name it. Because I'm one of those weird people that cuts my steak before I put it on the plate. That way I don't need a knife at the table. Just taking my time, bringing that tip in and kind of rounding it out a little bit. And this is 2 inches by 1/4 inch, which is nice. I'll leave the spine actually about 1/4 of an inch. And then probably make it, I don't know, it may end up being about 2.5 inches tall. So. And something else I need to do, there's another chef's knife set that I need to work on. I've been saying I was going to do it for years. I'm not telling anyone what it is, but just because I don't want anyone to steal my idea first. But when it's done, I'll be sure to share it with everyone. And it's not like it's some revolutionary thing, it's more like a funny thing. Boy, we got a lot of people watching on YouTube today. That's good. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I've seen Sketchets. I've never used one. This is interesting. I don't think I've ever forged. I know I must have. I must have forged an entire knife with this dog's head hammer. But it's a totally different muscle group. You know, it's just actions you're not used to. So let's see. Has my looks like we're still live, and it hasn't booted anything off. I'm really happy with that. Perhaps I have solved the internet mystery here. Who knows? It would be nice. I'd love to get to the point where I could just start a live stream and not worry about what's happening on the internet side of things. Speaking of which, I need to get a producer. Someone that can just change the scenes for me. Almost. It's coming down. It's not quite the point that we need just yet. Yeah, it seems to be working well tonight. None of those weird resets and starting up 20 different screens. So I'm happy with that. Whew. It is getting a little warm in the shop tonight. I guess I can turn down my pressure a little bit. Don't need it quite as hot as I had it. I actually burnt myself today. On all things, I burnt myself when I grilled. I was building some horse stalls for someone today, and pre-drilling the hole through. So I'm using 2-inch rough cut lumber. That's what the Amish guy had. So you pre-drill your holes through there so it doesn't split. And I just touched that 3/16" bit, and man, that still smarts. I didn't think it was that hot. Okay. Almost there. Yeah, it doesn't seem laggy or anything, so I don't know. Like I said, I looked at my speed test earlier. Let's see if I can tell me what my speed is right now. Oh, of course not. But so one thing I'm still getting used to using Streamlabs instead of just OBS. So OBS tells you what your stream rate is, how many frames per second, so you can really get an idea as to the health. Streamlabs just says, hey, things are not working optimally. Alright. Oh, wrong view. Just gotta come right up here. We're just a little bit more on that tip. Next heat, I think. Yeah, I guess no one else feels like chatting tonight, Jeff. But I'm glad you are, keeping me company. It's not like I'm a hard person to talk to. For those of you watching the stream for the very first time, pretty much it tends to be sort of like an Ask Me Anything. I do some work, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions about blacksmithing, forging, knife making, at least to the best of my ability. Ooh, and we got our merch store up now, so you want a cool classic Underhill Forge shirt? They're up there, along with our Get It Hot and Bang It shirts, and our ever popular, always edgy, never dull shirts. But now I no longer have to manually. I don't have to deal with it. So it's all like integrated and stuff. All right, so I'm going to take this back to the power hammer. Just to work it on its flat. There we go. Oh, so I'm glad that fillet knife worked well for you. I know my first couple of fillet knives were questionable, I think would be the best way to say it. I got my geometry wrong, and so sometimes they'd come in, they'd sink, towards the spine of the knife, just because I wasn't exactly even. That's when I gave up, and I blamed it on the thinness of the material. Like, oh my god, that's impossible to do. Obviously, it's not. I just got frustrated. I was young then. I was still in my early 20s. So you do the heat treating yourself then as well? So that's always a fun one when you're dealing with that thin of material to get the heat treating right on it. Well, I wouldn't say that you got lucky. I just think that, 22-year-old me was really impatient. Now that I'm no longer 22, it's kind of like, yeah, it'll get done when it gets done. Give that a second. I'll switch back to the anvil cam. Okay, I gotta do something about this lavalier mic. Keep on catching the wire. Ah, you know what? I will put it around my back. It has a belt clip. I should use it. There we go. I was catching the wire with my my tong hands. Oh yeah, you know, and I don't know what kind of sharpener you have. I started out with a when I got into like guided sharpeners. I started out with a Lansky, which is really cool, but you have to have a vise to mount it in, and you know, stuff like that. And it's all manually operated. And now I have a work sharp here at the shop, and that's really nice when I just have something that just needs to be touched up. Or for class, I have probably the oldest, dullest, 6,000 grit belt that has no grit on it whatsoever anymore. And I just use that to take that wire edge off after we're done sharpening on the 2x72. I should try my hand at making a thin leather belt for it. I've got some deer leather here. There we go. Now we got the tip how I want it. Just kind of a little bit more. Perfect. Dress that up. Cool. So now you can kind of see the starting shape of that deba. Next, I'm going to come in and how do I want to do this? I've got a tool for this. Hopefully I know where all the parts are. I'm going to use I don't know, do I want to do it Western style or do I want to do it actually Japanese style? Let's do it actually Japanese style, so I don't even have to break out the guillotine tool. Go with that Eastern style wah handle, mainly because I will be the first to admit this, I suck at making wah handles. I should just buy them from somebody that's really good. Upcharge, $200-300 on my knives for it, because that's about what a decent handle will cost. Especially when you get into all sorts of inlay and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like you buy the handle and then you buy the knife as well. So, but it's always good to challenge yourself. So, I need some brushing up on my woodworking skills. But if that's the case, all I really need to do is separate the material and I really don't need that much. Let's take a look at this. Okay, I don't know if this is cool enough to see yet. But can you see that little bit of a notch there? Let me bring it down over the... It's that little tiny bit of a notch right there. That is all the material I need for the tank. I know it doesn't seem like much, but keep in mind, it's like, right now, it's 6 times taller than it needs to be. So, which means that that little 3/4 of an inch that I separated out, even less, probably 5/8 of an inch, is going to be 6 times longer. Plus, it's going to end up tapering, so it'll get even longer than that. I'll end up having to cut this tang down. What I'm saying. It's kind of cool to see when you're doing this, you know, this hidden tang style knife, to see really how much blade you can get out of something with not a lot of steel. This was what, 2 inches? 2 inches by 3 inches. So really not that much. Yeah, it's a hidden tang. If you look up WA handle, it's WA. You'll see why I have such a pain in the ass, or why it's such a pain in the ass for me to do it. And you can look up some of the commercially, or not commercially made, but professionally made WA handles, and there's YouTube videos on it and all sorts of crazy shit. But yeah, there's guys charging, you know, $175 to $300 just for a handle. Because you got to think, in Japan, the culture is still that a lot of blade makers are not the people making the handles for those blades, and that's been the case for, you know, 1,000 years, hundreds of years there, where, you know, one guy forges the katana. There's another guy that sharpens the katana and polishes it. And the same thing is true with kitchen knives. There's somebody else that does all the handle making, and also with the tsuba and, you know, everything else. So it's more like you've got all these different artists that collaborate on a piece. Unlike in Western knife making, where we tend to do everything from start to finish. But this is really where my hammer blows have to be pretty darn exact the whole time. Because I can't move up further on this blade. It'll just keep on making the blade shorter. So, but I'm really happy with the thickness, and I may just grind the bevel on this to really show off that San Mai. I think that might be the way to go. I'm kind of happy with the height of it. I like the mass. It'll be an awful lot of grinding to get that mass down. but in the long run, I'm going to forge just a little bit to kind of thin down the nickel steel on the one side. But very, very minimally. And that also means I'll make for a real nice, long, pronounced bevel on that blade as well. I should have taken some Benadryl before I came out to the shop today. My nose is running. Probably because I was hanging out at a horse farm all day. Lots of pollen in the air right now. So I'm going to run this under the power hammer. I know I shouldn't. Like, I know I'm going to have to correct it if I do. I just want to bring this down a little faster. There we go. So what I was saying about what I'm going to have to correct because of doing that, if that's cool enough, you see how it came in here, that's the spine of the blade. And on this style knife, particularly since we're going like traditional Japanese, normally when I do like a hybrid style, I will actually drop it down a little bit. So I kind of like when the handle and the top of the spine of the knife all kind of run together, but I'm going a lot more traditional, so the handle's actually kind of offset on this. So I'm going to have to forge that. Yeah, I have horrible allergies. Basically, April, May, and the first 2 weeks of June. I'm normally a very miserable person from all the sinus pressure, you know. And then all summer long, I'm fine. And then sometime in the fall, when all the leaves start to drop, it seems like there's pollen getting picked up again. Or if it's a really dry summer, then it bothers me too. Okay, so to correct that, I'm going to support this end of the blade on the anvil, but I'm striking here. So essentially, I'm driving that steel down, meet that flat. I might actually need to go with a slightly heavier hammer. We'll see. God knows these tongs drive me nuts. Okay. Tongs need to be cleaned up a little bit with a grinder. Right there. Like if I pick it up one way, we're totally fine. Pick it up another way, not at all. Now it's cool if you do this and you're doing like a pattern weld style blade, you know, or Damascus as it's often known. Just keep in mind, like you don't want to do stock removal on a pattern welded blade if you can help it. there are certain blades that, yeah, it's just, you know, it's actually kind of beneficial. But what's cool and what's interesting, you can tell a blade that just like all the steel was made out of, you know, a mass-produced bar of Damascus, and what's actually been forged out. You can follow the pattern. You can see the tightening. You can see how it shifts. On San Mai, not so much because we've got that thicker layer of nickel, you know, on the outside, or mild steel on the outside, as the case may be, you know, depending on what materials you're using. And there is nothing wrong with using mild steel for your San Mai blades. That's actually traditionally how it was done. I just happen to like using a nickel steel because, well, it adds some cool elements to it. Get that? A little bit of a pun. Let's find... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a heavier hammer. Oh, there's my hammer. In the rack where it belongs, go figure. And I'm going to try these tongs again. See if I pick them up the right way. Besides the tight side. And so what I'm going to do, in order to clean up that spine and make that even, I'm actually going to hang over the edge here. Now, general rule of thumb, see how that's now straight across the back there? General rule of thumb is, for the tang length, 1/3 the length of the blade. If that makes sense. So we're going to start drawing that down. Then I'll probably have to switch to some even smaller tongs that I do have out already. Put them on the anvil where they're handy. All right, moment of truth. Let me check the... Hey, we're still going. We haven't had a reset. We're an hour and 15 minutes, so... I'm not going to say the internet connection has been fixed, but I think it might have been fixed. Let's just do this one more time, just to make sure that I saw one thing that was a little questionable there. I think it's just some scale. Yeah, there we go. And if I need to, I can always steal a little bit of material from that blade. This blade's a little on the longer side, believe it or not. So if I want to, I can go back and kind of steal like another 1/4 of an inch of material and then move that all towards the tang. Because right now we've only got about 1.5 inches of tang. And I'd much rather have something in the 3-inch to 3.5 inch. But we're really getting close to the final size of it. So if I steal a little bit from that blade, which is fine because where I'm talking about stealing material from or borrowing material from, as the case may be, is really just a section that I'd end up cleaning up on the grinder and grinding that material away. So I might as well use it if it's there. That's a lot better than welding a piece onto your tag. So how I'm going to do that, I'm going to come in with my hammer. Guess I should show this. So, can you see the funky shape that's going on there now? That was just a 1/4 inch from that blade. And now all that material underneath that is going to end up being tagged. Oh, it seems like the chat's working. My mouth seems to be running an awful lot, but that's just because, it seems like tonight it's just the two of us, Jeff. I know there's other people there. It's alright. You're allowed to be shy. Come on, don't be bashful. Set that down until we need it. Now, where it gets tricky, where hammer control comes into it, striking the same spot all the time instead of striking the blade. Yeah, everybody's shy tonight, man. Totally fine. Of course, I think about it, I lurk on other people's live streams every once in a while. I just oftentimes don't feel like I have anything constructive to say. But maybe I should just say hello. Let them know. Validate their existence, Just because during the live streams there's only a handful of people watching, I know that there's going to be thousands of people watching eventually. So, especially when everything just starts getting archived to YouTube afterwards. When YouTube won't be live, I know it sucks, but eventually that is going to happen. Just the rules. And YouTube doesn't like me, so I'm not allowed to make money on there. And I can make money on Twitch. Go figure. has to do with someone being helpful years ago with the website I had. They thought that they should just go in and click every ad I had. There we go. Cool. So you can see how just sealing that small amount, and it's still really thick. So, now I think I'm actually going to clean it up under the hammer. Yeah, here you go. This is your chance. I mean, you know, the whole live streaming from the shop it's not a new thing. I've been doing it for 6 months or so, but not on a very regular basis. We're correcting that with the summer. So if you want to start getting your questions answered now would be the time to ask them. Because, you know, this channel eventually will get popular enough that I'm not going to be able to read all the chats. I'm going to have to redo my whole overlay because of it. So what I'm saying is now's the time to ask all those little questions. And then you can laugh along with me at people that ask a question that's been asked 1,000 times before. So, let's take this over to the power hammer. Cool. So if you want to see, there we go. That's about the length of the tang that we need. Now it's not completely straight with the spine. I'll straighten that up on my next heat. And then we will turn it around, and I am literally going to forge the faintest of bevels in there. Again, see my previous statement about 10 minutes ago, maybe 15 minutes ago, about how I want the Sanmai to really be exemplified in this blade. If I forge it down too much, what's going to happen is the nickel moves at a different rate than the high carbon steel. So, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see it showing on the edge. From the backside, I guess I should say. Because it's a single bevel knife. It is not a traditional knife that has a bevel on the right side and a bevel on the left side. No, I don't know. I don't really know any bladesmiths that live stream on Twitch. I know a few blacksmiths that do knives as well, but I know some that do it on Instagram, I think. And maybe one or two that have done some live streams in the past on YouTube. I'm not saying it's a novel thing. I say it's easy to screw up, and nobody wants to see you screw up, except for maybe half your audience. Okay, so now I can switch back to, let's switch back to that dog's head hammer. Cool. So all I'm really trying to do, I know it's really hard to see in that camera. I'm just coming in very lightly. I just wanted to clean that up. So there we go. That's our primary deba bocho shape. Yeah, I know Jason does one every once in a while. There's a couple of guys from Knife Talk Podcast. One of the guys from there will go live on Instagram every once in a while. And I think that's, I mean, it's a cool thing. It's a cool platform. I wish, you know, I think more of us need to do it. Maybe. I don't know. It's not like the profession doesn't get enough. Obviously, with shows like Forged in Fire and stuff, we get an awful lot of exposure. However, I don't know. There's a lot of people that just kind of watch the show as well. Jason's an awesome guy, so I can't say anything bad about him. We've shared students in the past. It sounds kind of dirty when I say it out loud. So first, before I start drawing that down, I'm going to even up my spine so I don't have to grind it later. Kind of cleaning up my lines, making them a little straighter. It's not that I don't have to grind it later. I just don't want to grind as much later. How's that? It's like I'm gonna have to straighten that tang out as well. But I think that's kind of par for the course. When you look at how thin that material is, if it bends on you, I mean, just don't get that out of shape about it. It's steel. You have fire. You can straighten it out. I think one of the best pieces of advice I can give is don't take yourself overly serious with this, that you might think it's a mistake that's happening. However, it's only a mistake if it can't be corrected. I mean, that's the way I feel about it anyway. Let's run one time down here. Now, the cheater's way to do this would be to make a top tool which I do. I think I actually have one. I have a top tool that I could actually use under the hammer, and I could actually do the bevel completely with it. But luckily for you guys, I don't know where it is at the moment. It's nothing I've mastered, so I don't feel like breaking it out and using it live. If you're watching us on YouTube, go over to twitch.tv. Look for Underhill Forge. Follow me on there. Eventually, because of Twitch's terms of service, if I join the affiliate program, which I kind of intend to do, I can only go live on Twitch once I join that. So, essentially that means that YouTube will be a day behind. So you won't get to ask live questions. It'll seem like a live show, but it'll be pre-recorded. So if you want to watch live and actually enjoy the fun, look up Underhill Forge on twitch.tv. So, now, I'm right-handed, so I'm hammering a right-handed bevel in this. And again, I'm just going very, very light. Probably do 2 or 3 more passes like that, just to make sure that I'm getting it even. You know, Jeff, there was a point in time where I didn't have all the fancy tools either, but I just decided to make my own. Because, let's face it, there's a shortage of little blacksmith toy shops around. And that's true with most of my friends that are blacksmiths. It's not like you go out and you buy a tool. However, you can, say to someone, hey, I really wish you'd make me that tool. I'll pay you for it. That does happen. Trying to keep everything nice and straight. Please do. And then follow me on Twitch. You couldn't see, but I was actually pointing at the screen at that point in time. Twitch is pretty cool. I just joined the Blacksmiths Guild on there. And so I think it's like 24 of us now that are streaming various things to deal with metal making, jewelry, It's not just blacksmithing. But I was asked to join this past weekend. Checked it out. Said, well, all these guys are probably better than me anyway, so I might as well join. What have I got to lose, right? And now that I've fixed all my internet problems, knock on wood, down here at the shop. For those of you that have never watched before, the internet problems are just the fact that I have 1 gig internet, but it's like 400 feet away from the shop. And so getting that internet down to the shop for streaming has always been a little bit of a challenge. We had it worked out. I had a buried cable, not a very deeply buried cable, and it accidentally got severed this past summer. So with wireless, I've been able to do things like watch Game of Thrones on HBO. That's cool. But streaming has always been a little bit of a problem because it's very bandwidth intensive. All right, I think one more pass on this devil. Trying to get the angle exactly right on this. So I have a nice uniform thickness, but it's still, remember the spine of my blade is actually a little over 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to do a finishing pass on the power hammer. Yeah, it's working. Oh, all right. So you're OK 1973 as well. Haha. You were asking last night if it was working. It might be where you're looking. And I know there's probably a delay. So you're probably hearing this like 20 seconds after I say it. But yes, it's absolutely working. Okay, let's do a finishing pass on the power hammer. Good. Nice, consistent thickness. I think I'm going to do that one more time from the tang back. And then I've got to straighten the tang manually with the hammer. Hand hammer, that is. It's just buffering. I don't know. That's probably your internet connection. Now, I don't know why one site would buffer and the other wouldn't. But let's face it. Well, actually, Twitch has Amazon money, and YouTube is Google money. So, I'm pretty sure they all spend the same amount, if not more. Alright, got my nicotine. Let's just bring this tang down to a nice consistent thickness. That's all it took. Just a little bit of heat. Oops, wrong camera. And now I'm just going to straighten this tang out to correct it. One good snap. There we go. Now I'm just nitpicking. Let's adjusting where it needs to be adjusted. Try to take any sort of twist out of that as well. Let me switch back to these other tongs so I can actually look at the entire blade. It needs to be straightened out just a hair there. So that is looking fairly straight to me. I think that's just on the edge of that. There we go. So there we go. That is our deba bocho, or at least the start of it. It's San Mai. Beveled on just the right side. This is actually right-handed knife. I guess I can be really cool about this and set it up or something so you can see a little bit more. There we go. And surprisingly enough, I didn't have the forge full open. That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that. So yeah, I mean, for what it is, now it's cooled down enough. Hop back there. Obviously, there's a lot of grinding to do, a lot of cleaning up to do. Then I have to do that damn wild style handle that drives me nuts. So it's more like I keep on trying to do it because it's something I want to learn. I'm not good at it. I break them, I split them. I just have a lot of problems with it. However, I may go really traditional on this handle. I may go with drilling a round hole and splitting a dowel rod in half. Which is kind of tricky, but at the same time, that's kind of how it was done. Maybe edge it down in there and trim off the ends, little hands and all that. But yeah, otherwise, great little knife. And we'll be finishing that up. I think tomorrow I'm planning on doing the heat treat on these. So that's going to be a lot of standing around drinking beer and normalizing the two blades I did yesterday and today, and quenching them and getting them in the oven. Then Thursday, Matt is going to be back at the shop, and Matt is going to be finishing up his knife. So he's got to forge that knife out. But we've definitely got enough time for him to finish that. And yeah, he'll be finishing that out, and I'll be cleaning these up. And I don't know, I might get them done Thursday, but may not be until Friday or Monday even. I'm not sure what my schedule is this week. I have to double check. I think I have a class on Sunday, but I don't think I have a class on Saturday. So that's what I have to double check. The weeks all start to run together, especially after lockdown. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. Still, either way, I'm glad that all of you could join. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you're watching this later as a replay or as a highlight, go to twitch.tv, follow, like, subscribe on YouTube. The videos will still be going up there. Just we're still a ways away, so we're still a ways away from not being able to go live on YouTube. There's just more incentive for me to go live on Twitch. The requirements are easier. So, but that's just personal. So, either way, you'll still be able to watch everything. Same channels that you have it. But no, I appreciate every single one of you being here. You as well, Jeff. You have a great night. Always appreciate your company, brother. Stay warm on Friday during that snowstorm. If I have off on Friday, maybe I'll go fishing. I'll live stream that. Try to catch the flurries. But, yeah, otherwise, tomorrow night, heat treating, probably a little bit of cleaning up, getting some of these done. I think I'll move one of the cameras over to the grinder station. I already have one there, but I'll move it a little bit better. And give you a little bit more insight as to how live we're now. I need to get them ready for the heat treat. So. All right, well, hey, thanks again. Appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a great night and a great day tomorrow. See you tomorrow night.
Just time. In a minute. You do not know. What about in a minute? Lose 500. We do not stop riding. When you mean just time. In a minute. Just be through down in a minute. Lose 500. We do not stop riding. Have not. They're dead. What about fear? You do not find good men right. Okay, watch out. Have not. They're dead. Just time. In a minute. You do not find. You do not know. What about in a minute? Have not. What about things are now in motion. You do not know pain. You do not know. Tetris, Tetris, time. Just me through down my enemy. And what about